This is going to be part 2 of using APS-C lenses on full frame cameras, and I'm not talking about using APS-C mode. I'm talking about using video and in regular full frame mode, and in particular dynamic stabilization, because that is the future peak Sony. We're trying to fit as much as we can into that little circle. It's actually a bigger circle than normal because APS-C lenses, they can produce larger than 1.5 crop image circles. So in this video, I have 3 lenses to test. I have the 18-135. It is a kit style type lens. It is small, it is rangy, very rangy. However, it is variable aperture. I have the 16-55 millimeter f2.8G. It is a sexy lens. It looks sexy. It is rangy. It starts at 16 millimeter, ends up at 55, and it is also beautiful because it offers f2.8. But will it work? And lastly, I have the 18-105 G lens. This is an f4 lens, constant from 18 all the way to 105. It is kind of large. However, it offers an incredible range. Is this the ultimate lens? Well, we're going to find out. This is the 18-135 without any stabilization. We're at 24, midway to 35, and here is 35. And here to the next marker is 50. Next is 70, all the way to 100, and 135. Quite a bit of reach. This is the 18-135, and you can see that it's already vignetting. So yeah, this one definitely not going to work out as I hope. At 24. You're a lot closer. Vignettes less. If you walk slowly, maybe it can work. Maybe. But are you really going to handle it like this? And even if it does work this close, I don't know. It may or may not work for your scenario. It is incredibly rangy because once I go beyond here, okay, this is at 35 already. Let's swap around. And let's say you're doing the rest just handheld. Wow, it does have quite a bit of range. This is in its standard form. There's no cropping performed right here. Okay, so it is quite a bit of range. So if you're moving slow, this might work out for you. Starting maybe at 24. But if you're using this for a lot of vlogging, this is not gonna work out. Even with like slow movements, I don't think I could go slow enough that it doesn't creep in. You see that? So if you're standing still and you're vlogging, you need 18 millimeters, a wide type of shot like this. Yeah, this can work, but as soon as you start walking, then 24 and beyond will work out, sort of. This is the 16-55 f2.8G. We're at 16, halfway to 24, and now we're at 24, halfway to 35. This is at 35, halfway to 45, and here's 45. And 55. Not quite the range of the other lenses, but it's f2.8. Right, this is with dynamic stabilization, and right off the bat, wow. Fortunately, 16 millimeters is not going to work. Halfway through, between 24. Okay, so this is not at 24 yet. This might work. No, and it might not. At 24 millimeters, let's see. it does vignette. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to get away from this. And around 28, it's still vignette. So if you're walking and nonchalantly you're not paying attention to anything, I mean, it could work, but do you really want to deal with some YouTuber's face this close? I mean, that could give you nightmares if it's not the right type of person, you know what I mean? So this is not that usable. Let's see, at longer focal lengths, can be somewhat useful if your movements are slow. All right, sure, it can work. It's f2.8, that's great. But if you're moving nonchalantly, this ain't gonna cut it. And I wish it did, because it would have been an incredible range. It's f2.8. You're going to have to crop in a little bit just to make this work. And it's basically going to be a 1.5 crop all the way through at that point. All right, this is the 18 to 105. No stabilization, nothing. We're gonna zoom in. This is 19. Let's go a little bit faster. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 30. Let's go 35, 40, 50, 60, 75, and all the way to 105. Okay, so that is without any sort of stabilization. This is the 18 to 105 f4 constant f4, which is nice. Going to 105 is also nice, but does it vignette? And I can see it already. It does vignette. Let's see if I can walk slow enough that it doesn't creep too much. So if you're gonna stand still and record yourself, it's gonna be perfectly fine. And it's gonna be wide enough that you can see yourself just with this handheld action. Zoom in. This is at 22. So there's less. So if you have to walk, you're kind of close already. And you can't walk fast because you can see that's creeping in. That the faster I walk and turn. But other than that, let's see. This thing has incredible range. So if you're just hand holding it and doing this type of shots, it is f4, and it has an incredible amount of range. Well, what is going on with this zoom? I zoom in all the way and it zooms back out. So it's best to use the rocker. That zoom ring is going to zoom backwards, which is odd. If you're doing panning shots, it's great. Slow movement, closer in. Let's see. Yeah, this thing can work out. Nice B-roll. And then you're back to yourself for vlogging. You know, as long as you're not moving too much, it's somewhat manageable. But the great thing about this lens is that it's an all-in-one. It really does a lot. F4 and goes from 18 all the way to 105. I might try this out for myself because it seems kind of usable, just as long as you're not walking and talking, that type of deal. And I think I have other lenses for that. So what did we learn for today? Well, the 18 to 135 is probably the least usable of the bunch. It crops a bit too much and it starts off a bit too late. However, if you're okay with not moving a lot, not moving jaggedly, then you can use it as a still videos at 1.3 dynamic stabilization crop. It does work quite well for that style, and I'm a big believer in that type of style, because why would you be moving so much when the subject in your frame could be moving that much. Anyhow, the 16 to 55 is a little bit more usable, but still highly unusable at 16 millimeters, which is a shame. I really wanted that one to work. 16 millimeters is quite wide. It's wider than 18 by 2 millimeters, and at the wide end, 2 millimeters it can make a difference on the wide end. So that lens doesn't work quite as well as I wanted. It is a beautiful lens. It is so sexy on the camera. However, it's not all there. And unfortunately, I would personally pass because it's such a high ticket item that something like the 20 to 70 would probably be a better alternative, and it works throughout the whole range. So lastly is the 18 to 105. This lens works better than the other two. It doesn't work completely, but it certainly works better, and it's almost within striking range. If you're okay with a little bit of surgery, I think surgery probably would help the long end, and removing that baffle would help, but it's not totally necessary. All this test was done and there was no surgery performed on the lens. So I do think that it would work out if you really wanted that range. Okay, this lens has a phenomenal range, 18 all the way to 105. It's f4. It's not exactly huge. It is a bulky lens, but it doesn't extend, and it has electronic zooms all the way through. It's completely internal focusing. I really might try it out as an all-in-one lens. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share. See you in the next one. Take care.